Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome back to another episode of Patio Commentary. Today, I want to talk about Superman. Yeah, it's Superman, the movie that I've been poking the bear at for quite some time. Because quite frankly, and this is me being 100% honest, whether you agree with me or not, I don't know. I've felt that the marketing is not good. And I'm not the only one. The marketing has not been good for this movie. And honestly, that kind of soured my experience watching the movie. But I'm going to talk about that because even though that was something that was on the back of my mind, I'm just going to openly admit it. Yeah, I'm kind of a stan of crypto now. Okay, I'm kind of a big fan of that dumb dog and willing to see more of that dumb dog. It kind of got me. I'm not a dog guy. I'm not a dog guy at all, but that dog kind of got me. Okay, so yeah, I like the movie quite a bit. But I want to kind of quickly take a step back and touch upon like maybe why I was as critical as I was, because people are mad at me for liking the movie, which is kind of funny. But way back 9 years ago, we had Ghostbusters 2016, and I criticized the hell out of that movie. But I said that the first opportunity that I was going to have to go see it, I would go see it. And when I went to go see it, I was like crossing my fingers, closing my eyes, praying to whatever God I could. Please don't suck. Please don't suck. Please don't suck. Please don't suck. And unfortunately, that movie wasn't good. And just like The Last Jedi, I don't like not liking a Star Wars or Ghostbusters movie. Superman and me are a little bit different. I've never really been like that big into the character. I still think Batman is a better character overall to start a universe with. But you know, I mean, Man of Steel kind of like turned my mind on it. And Man of Steel was probably my second favorite film of 2013 behind The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. That being said, that era is over. It's done. I've been saying that now for years. And as much as it pains me to say that, and it pains me to know that we're never going to go back to that world, yeah, I'm all in on this one. Warts and all, blemishes, everything it rushed to get through done, I'm in. Let me just preface this by saying that this movie, without spoilers, feels like a 2-hour pilot to a television series. And that is both a good and a bad thing. One, it gets you in, it gets you out. Okay, that's always a good thing, right? You don't want to overstay your welcome. 2-hour mark, not that bad. Downside, though, is you feel like there's no time to breathe. There's no time to let the character moments set in. There's no real time to let the emotional weight of what's happening build. Like the tension rises and then it immediately gets resolved and then they move on to the next thing. And that is unfortunate, but that's also kind of the nature of this particular beast. This movie is an advertisement. Like, make no mistake, it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. The cast brings it. It's very well directed, very well shot. All of those things are there. The elements are there, but we have to remember that this is an advertisement for what's to come. And it was really meant to show us this world that's been lived in. Not a brand new world where they've never had superheroes before. Not a world that is, you know, like on the brink of destruction, right? Like not post-apocalyptic, none of that stuff. It is a world that is lived in, that people are familiar with metahumans, that they know that they exist, and that all of these particular things happen at a relatively frequent pattern. And so it's not shocking to people anymore. It's kind of like if you've seen Jurassic World Rebirth and like how the setup of that film is, you might know what I'm talking about, right? It's like people are like over dinosaurs. You know what I'm saying? Here's kind of the same thing. It's like, oh, a kaiju making its way through downtown Metropolis. All right, it's a Tuesday. All right, I guess I'll just take the subway home. Maybe I'll be okay. You know what I mean? Like that kind of mindset, that kind of vibe. And whether or not that was intentional, I don't quite know. But that's what we got. That's what the movie is. The movie is designed very much to get you in and get you out. And this is where the marketing was a big problem. The marketing of this movie shows you a lot of the intense moments or the emotional moments. So every time something happens that is meant to be either like exciting or interesting or emotional, you've already seen it in the marketing. When they said that this movie only really featured like the first like few minutes of the movie and the marketing of it, that's a lie. There's a lot of stuff from like all throughout this movie. And because it happens at such a breakneck speed, you're kind of then just anticipating like the next scene that's going to then have bits from what you saw in the trailer. And really, there's only like one shot I saw in the movie that was different than what we saw in the trailer. And I have to say, I liked it better in the trailer. It was when they're doing the interview and she goes like, Superman, and then he leans in and says, Miss Lane. Like in the trailer, we see him leaning in. In the final cut, it's a 2-shot and he leans in. I prefer the direct shot of him kind of going into the Superman mindset, because having that duality between Clark and Superman is definitely something that is always there, but it's also not in this movie. We barely got any time with him as Clark. We barely got any time with him as Clark at all. Like even in the original 78 film, we got a fair amount of time with Clark, kind of, well-meaning, bumbling, clumsy Clark. Here, none of that. Like none of it. And that is unfortunate for a movie that is meant to talk about the duality of these two characters. It really is just a Superman movie. It's like Clark is there. We see him once, right? Once. Really, and you've already seen it if you've seen the trailers. Him with Lois, him at the office, that's it. Like, that's it. If you've seen the trailers, you have legitimately seen that. Just like if you saw the opening of the 5 minutes that was before Minecraft, that's the opening 5 minutes of the movie, more or less. There's a couple little things that they added in, later on and whatnot. And again, that's exactly what I said was going to happen, was the fact that we were going to open with that. And even James Gunn himself had said that the first pages he wrote was Clark beat to shit in the, in the Arctic. And then, of course, if everything you think Ultraman is Ultraman, like nothing about this movie is surprising. Nothing about this movie is surprising. If you know anything about these characters, nothing is surprising. If you watch the trailer, nothing is surprising. And that is the downside to the movie. That is, if I had to nitpick anything, really, that is the downside to the movie. Nothing about this is surprising. There's no what I would call real standout moments that you didn't see in the marketing. Like literally, right? Like at all, but that's actually okay. As weird as that is to say, that's okay. Because the characters, they're characters you want to spend more time with. Lois and Clark, obviously Jimmy Olsen. When I'll tell you this, the leaks, if you ever read the leaks about this movie, the leaks are for the most part true. And when you don't see them in context, it's really like, what the hell? When you don't see the leaks, like when there's no context to back up the stuff that it says, it seems really bad, right? Like really bad. But then you watch the movie and you're like, oh, not so bad. Okay. But at the same time, it's also like, you also know what's coming. Like I said, no surprises. The stuff with Jimmy Olsen and like him having the relation, like him dating a lot of women and women just being like very attracted to him, despite the fact that he looks relatively, like Jimmy. He's a plain looking dude. Skylar Gizmodo, Gizmondo, whatever his name is. It's kind of a plain looking dude. But homie's got Riz. Don't quite know how. Even Lois is like, how do you do it? And he's like, but he's got it, man. And then, him and Eve Tessmacher have a nice little relationship thing there that you think she's the cleaning one, but he also cares. And that was something I thought was kind of nice, is that like all this setup, for her, like, we're going to spend time together. We can be together. And then he's like, and then, he's like, all right. Because he's got a heart. I think that's at the end of the day, this movie is really about heart. And I know Gunn has said that, but let me like kind of reiterate from like my aspect of it. Like, okay, so like Superman wears his heart on his sleeve. Lex Luthor wears his ego on his sleeve, but he's doing that to protect his heart. Lois wears her stubbornness on her, on her sleeve, but she does that to protect her heart. But both Lex and Lois want the heart. They want what the heart wants. You know what I mean? Like, it's really interesting. Metamorpho, his heart is his child. And he was great too. Anthony Corrigan was awesome in the role. I thought he was really good. That scene with him, holy crap, that got dark. You know what I mean? This movie is darker than you think too. I want to lie. No, there was one surprise that wasn't in the trailer that got me. And it was in the Pocket Universe thing. But then at the same time, the whole like 1,000 monkeys on 1,000 typewriters all trying to write, A Tale of Two Cities. The Simpsons did it. I made that joke months ago. The whole super shit hashtag thing was funny because it kept popping up quite a bit. But it also does lead into the fact, and very much lead into the fact, that this is a movie that is about James Gunn and his heart, and what hurts him, and what inspires him, and what he loves, and what he finds value in. But make no mistake, Gunn main charactered himself in this movie. Man of Steel. They don't call him that in this film because he's not made of steel. He is vulnerable. He does get scared. He worries. He hopes. He dreams. All of these things that you know about James Gunn if you know James Gunn. And so when I said that Gunn bit off more than he could chew, I want to retract that statement a bit because I feel like he bit off a lot and he slow chewed it, right? He's taking his time with it despite doing it at breakneck speed. I know that sounds a bit contradictory, but like my idea there is that it's like he understands what he's trying to do and he's being given the space to do it. And yeah, like Lex Luthor is largely based off of the basement trolls who went after him back in 2018. And there's no denying that. Like if he, he's tried to downplay it, but no, it's very true. Is this an immigrant story? No, it's an adopted kid story is what it is, right? There's really no mention of immigration or whatnot. Him being an alien is one thing. The stuff with his parents, the fact that Jor-El really was kind of a dick and everything else. They just wanted what's best for their son. But he got the wrong part of the message. And because he got the wrong part of the message, he wanted to be better. And then when he found the other half of that message, that wasn't who he is because that wasn't how he was raised. And that's kind of the whole point, right? This movie is fun. Once it gets going, I need to watch it again, not right away, probably in a few months when I'm removed from the marketing, when I can sit there and I can just enjoy it in the comfort of my room at night with my headphones on and just allow myself to get into the story, to get into everything. That I'll probably find greater enjoyment of it. Seeing it with a crowd was nice because we all laughed at some of the stuff, right? Especially a cameo. I'm not going to say who it is. There was a cameo in the movie that I thought was really good. And, it was Peacemaker. And that makes sense. And it was really good that he was in it, that he popped up, which makes me believe that Corenswet is going to show up in Peacemaker season 2, which is going to be good. Guy Gardner was great. Mr. Terrific stole the show in many scenes. He was awesome. Nice to see that Eddie was utilized properly rather than the last time he was in a superhero movie back in X-Men First Class. Isabella Mercedes Hawkgirl. Only thing I didn't like about that was the screeching. Remove it going forward. We've established that she screams. We don't need any more of that. That was like, that's my biggest nitpick for this whole ass movie is she screeches. Like, girl, you got wings. We get it. You're a hawk. We don't need the screeching. Move on. That's about it. Even Eve Tessmacher, right? Like, you think she's a vapid person, but she also wears her heart on her sleeve. She just wants to be wanted, And so, yeah, at the end of the day, this movie really is about heart. It's about love. It's about, trying to do the right thing. And I can respect that. I can really respect that. I think Gunn is onto something here. And I can admit that I was wrong. I went in thinking this is going to be mid, right? Maybe not the greatest, but it's a solid 8 out of 10. It's a good jumping off point for what's coming next. And Crypto was actually really good. Crypto was really good. I do want to say, though, that the Ultraman thing, we're getting the Bizarro storyline. That's coming absolutely now. There's really no setup for a sequel unless they're going to do Bizarro. But, we got the tease for Supergirl, which we knew that was going to happen. The fact that she travels off planet to where they have red suns so she can get drunk is kind of funny, and we're going to get a lot more of that, I think, with the next movie coming out next year. So yeah, you know what? With Creature Commandos, this movie, Peacemaker season 2, Supergirl. I mean, okay. They're definitely on the right path. And you know what? I'm here for it. I am. I'm legitimately here for it. Bring on more. Can't wait for Peacemaker season 2. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for listening to this episode of Pod Your Commentary, and peace out.